It was a collection of Donald Trump supporters that had been called there weeks or months in advance by Donald Trump. All of these people showed up to his ellipse speech. A lot of them did. All of them marched to the Capitol, all chanting the same things with the clear goal of protesting the certification of the vote. That's why they were saying things like 1776, which we all recognize was a rebellion against Great Britain. It wasn't a hodgepodge of people. It was a collection of people that were all there for an incredibly specific purpose. I think it would be unbelievable for me to ever accept the idea that it just randomly happened that those people happened to be gathered, that were all supporting the same candidate, that was saying that Congress shouldn't certify the vote, that was trying to get Pence not to certify the vote, that these people happened to go down to the Capitol, they happened to engage in violence, they happened to succeed in delaying the certification of the vote. All of this happened randomly from a hodgepodge of people that were subdued in 3 hours, whether they were subdued, whether they discharged an arm. And to say that they weren't a serious threat is also crazy, given that there were times where these people were literally rooms away from other lawmakers. I think it's more incredible to say that it never was a serious threat. Like you yourself say that only a small percentage engaged in violence. What if that percentage instead of 10% was 15%? What if instead of 15 it was 20 or 25%? Who's to say what could have possibly happened afterwards? Other than the fact that thankfully, retrospectively, we can look and see that it didn't get to that. But I mean, this was some tens of thousands of people that were many engaged in violent protests that were breaking into the Capitol and managed to delay the certification.
How many people are you saying were at the Capitol on January 6th?
I don't know. I've seen everything from 100,000 plus to some people say it was 50 to 70,000. I don't know what the exact number is.
Who entered the Capitol?
No, not who entered. Who were there protesting outside.
Oh, how many entered? How many entered?
The numbers I saw were anywhere from 1 to 2,000.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So imagine if 5,000 would have entered or 10,000, right? Who's to say that there couldn't have been a threat?
Yeah. So just pushing on Destiny's point, Glenn, at what point would you call that an insurrection, or at what point would you say you said 6-7% were violent? Is there a certain percentage that it needs to hit, or?
Well, I mean, Destiny himself acknowledged in the very first question I asked him that there's a quantitative component to this for sure, which is why nobody would seriously call two people with knives gathering outside the Capitol, even though they're proclaiming an insurrectionary intention or objective. Nobody would say in history that that would be referred to as the United States having survived a coup or a coup attempt or an insurrection, because it was just far too insignificant. And I don't think that there is as I said, I don't think it's a term of science, these terms like insurrection and coup. I think they're like a lot of the terms that we use in our political vernacular, like terrorism and hate speech or disinformation, that really has no fixed meaning. It all kind of depends on who gets to apply the term and for what purpose. Is a group using violence a revolutionary group fighting against corruption? Are they trying to topple the government and therefore a terrorist? All these terms are very kind of shifting because they're points of propaganda. But what I think is that in order to make a serious case that this is a historic event, I mean, I think one of the Krasenstein brothers began by comparing it to Pearl Harbor or 9/11 and the Civil War, kind of invoking those kinds of events. Democrats have done that as well. I don't hold Destiny to that, but clearly there's a belief, I think, that this is like a major event in United States history. And for me, the reason it wasn't is because it never did get anywhere near the number that would be required to pose a significant threat to the power of the United States government. I don't think you can set a quantitative number. You can ask whether, and I think the kind of people who are there is so important. And that, I mean,